You are watching CIOTV by Enterprise IT World, a production of Accent Info Media.
Hello and welcome to CIOTV.live. We have been speaking to the stakeholders of the IT industry about various new technologies, especially around digital transformation, because that's the journey, that's the goal that every CIO or CDO wants to achieve for the organization. Today I have Mr. Meheriar Patel, Group CIO at Jeena and Company. Jeena and Company, as you know, logistics company headquartered out of Mumbai. They have done lots of digital transformation activities, especially one which I need to highlight here is that the company has brought in artificial intelligence component to redefine efficiency. The company says that from 30 minutes to 3 minutes lead time reduction has happened. Meheriar, thank you very much and welcome to this conversation.
Thank you so much. Privileged to be here and happy to have this conversation.
I know you are very experienced. You have seen the industry from very scratch level when the CIO term was not there. Gradually, the new roles are coming up. How do you see this very role getting evolved year on year?
So I think the industry started with EDP as a department, then moved into information technology, and then moved into something related to systems. And then clearly we're talking about information, we're talking about digitization. And when you look at these roles which are enabling these transformations within these industry segments, I think the clear roles are digital transformation leaders and information technology executives. Both are doing subsequent amount of work in this direction to say that how can automation help to perform better operationally, serve their internal customers as well as our external entities whom they serve. And I think the core sense of looking at digitization is to say that uh, can we do more with less, number one? Can we transform the processes, make more revenue, go from a laggard to a more transformative company and a leading organization within your segments? Look at improving the processes, look at visibility as a core essence, because when you talk about digitization, you're talking about social media references, your market research simulations within the organizations, and obviously the last one is a collaboration. See, what is building the piece is the collaboration within the organization, outside the organization, with your customers, with your partners, and the biggest surprising point to all of us is that today India is leading the story across. The situation could be whether we have Indians leading global organizations or leading Indian companies leading industry segments which are going to be transformation of the future. And I think India as a hub is going to tell the next story. And the last part, which is very, very important, is the level where the Indian consumption of services is going to talk about 3 trillion market share. And that's the latest something everybody needs to visualize, and how each of the company can play a big role there.
All right, you must be very happy to know that India has already achieved 4 trillion mark. So it is updated yesterday or day before yesterday. But thing is here, there is a global report by one of the large vendor which says that the global index of satisfaction by the leaders, by the organization is less. 62% say that their expectation, the growth in digital transformation is not happening the way it should be happening. They need the urgency now. So what are the challenges being in this domain for such a long time? What are the challenges you feel are the stumbling blocks, in order to achieve the entire goal?
So, Sanjay, I've been in various industries, again, especially in the logistics sector, which today I'm leading. I'm in touch with the global markets, Indian markets, and also in touch with global leaders. And I feel the localization is one of the biggest piece for us. When you talk about localization, obviously there'll be challenges. And I don't think so. It's a smooth walk of saying that I want to implement an X use case within your organization, and it's going to be like a story coolly implemented. It's never going to happen that way. The digitization piece, the big story on the digitization piece is that change management. And how you operate on those technologies to get the benefits out. And acceptability of an organization whenever you look at a use case for digitization is to talk about and know what is your capability within your organization and go step by step to achieve it. If you want to reach from 1 to 4 straight off, it's not going to be possible. There is a journey, 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you reach 4, you have achieved that change management. And this journey within your organization is very, very important. There are no quick results on digitization. It's not like a chatbot implementation where you go and say, okay, chatbot is implemented, your responses are auto responses are completely governed, and then you follow it. I think that's an example which is the most easiest. And today, when I talk about digitization, we are talking about use cases which are very, very systematic in terms of what needs to be implemented. And these are not easy paths. The other situation is that today, when I talk about localization, I clearly mentioned, and you spoke about the 4 trillion market. The opportunities are growing. So earlier the situation were only the big players were involved, and now you have the startup story which are already coming into play. So I think my take on is that when you tie up with a startup, identify a startup, look at whom you're going to work with, think long term, look at failures and successes. That is part of your game. And one big part is that when you have a CIO, CDO as a situation, you are appraising, guiding your board onto the steps and the path. I think that part of guiding the board is very, very important in this journey which you are going to take. So I feel that there's a big story which is going to come up in another 2 to 3 years. And lots of companies are concentrating on this particular journey. The part is that the business ethics and the business dimensions of each of the companies are completely different. So before you take a digital journey which needs to be implemented for an organization, I think one of the benchmarks for the CIO is to study what the company stands for, what is the business area, who are the people involved, what is already implemented, and at what stage. Then you take on the digital journey and complement those processes for the digital makeover. The digital journey is not just implementing an ERP and moving out. Most of the organizations already have transaction systems, already have financial systems involved. Here, the digital pieces talk about nuances, how to make things better in that ERP, or how to refine the processes in that company and make things better. And what are the new dimensions which you are getting in from the digital piece, as to say that this line of business with digitization is going to add extra revenue. for your organization. I think that's very, very important today. Most of the e-commerce companies, most of the startups who are in the sectors or the last mile delivery platforms, if you say, especially in logistics also, they've done great amount of work and have a great amount of traction, which is coming out from global industry segments who are investing in India to take this forward. And we as company also feel that startups play a big role, and we've looked at certain strategic investments in terms of saying that yes, we will play certain roles, and these startups can not only help our business but help in the industry as a commune.
Mr. Patel, you raised two points. One is change management. The other one is influencing the board. Change management, do you mean change management within the organization or the entire ecosystem? You have got suppliers, you have got dealers network also for most of the companies. So how is it possible to, how difficult is it to create that change management, taking every stakeholder into account? Convincing everyone, the supplier one side, the distributor, dealer network, or the last mile in your case?
Yeah, I think the easiest is the tool that you have, right? The easiest situation is that you have the tool which is ready, but the most prolific point is that how do you implement that tool within your organization? And how much is the acceptability of that tool? Otherwise, buying that tool, paying X hundred amounts is of no use if it is not used within your organization. Um, um, I look at a picture like this that the use case uh, before buying the tool has to be vetted out. And the acceptability also has to be clearly identified right from the board, the CEO, MD level, and the CXO level, which are your the counterparts in other organizations who are also going to help you implement this. So the buy-in part is very important. And why I say the top-down approach is that organization right from the MDCO knows that there should be a digital transformation. There is no two ways about it.
Okay.
The driving force is acceptable, but when you go ahead and implement it, it fails. And why does it fail? Because you have not done proper homework. Number one. Number two, identify the risks. And the risk has to be clearly identified that if the project gets stalled or it fails in between, what are you and how are you going to mitigate it? The third thing is, when I talked about employee buy-in, I also talked about center of excellence within your organizations and key leader push within your organizations who not only believe in the technology, but also believe that this is going to get you a dynamic change shift. The fourth party is the implementation partner. The consultant implementation partner plays a very big role. Lot of times, they play a role where the company has to listen to, because it is the outside party who gives you a realistic picture and tells you this is the guiding way, this is the way to move forward. I think you will be better off. And I feel that the third level voice, that is the consultant, who's the part of your party in terms of implementing that particular digital technology, is also very, very important. So I think treat them as a partner within your organization, because one success of that consultant partner can give you a repeat story and successes within the organization. So I feel I know of cases where people have taken tools in organizations and was clearly not implemented it, or they still want to follow the old processes. I'm happy doing this. Why should I do this? I myself looked at moving some of my processes on cloud, and but I convinced them. Not only convince them, you have to prove them. This technology will be better. So how do you do that? I think that that comparison factor of what your earlier system was running and what is the new system which is running and getting accepted has to be classified and explained very, very clearly. Once that buy-in comes in, I think no matter what, nobody can stop it. The point is that another biggest factor is that a lot of companies have got workforce which are of mindsets which don't want to change and accept. But those times have changed. They also want to work on new technologies. So I think it's a journey which is to be planned well, mitigated well. You need to make sure that it cannot fail no matter what. And the buy-in, which is one of the points which I've already mentioned to you, and collaborate and work. So you rightly mentioned the distributor part in pharma, which plays a very big role. And today, when I feel that I want to promote my system to a distributor, they don't want to use my system. Otherwise, they'll have to use 10 systems. So can the pharma company have one collaboration portal which can act as an input to all 9 of them, for example? So I think, see, what I'm also doing, we're working on a platform called ULIP, which is one of the biggest initiative in the PM Gati Shakti initiative on the national logistics industry segment laws which are going to come up very soon, which is going to really help logistics sector move ahead. And we are doing a lot of work on interface standards within the organization, and we work with a lot of customers whom we offer our services across globally, not only in India. So, Sanjay, the time has literally changed. You cannot say it's not possible. It might take a little bit more time, but the point of rejection is gone by. I feel you cannot say that you have adopted a technology, taken a cost as in your P&L investment, and you can't invest, and you can't complete the project. The answer is no. I feel it has to happen.
There are many departments within your organization, and there are department head CXOs. It's little hard question from my side. Those CIOs who are directly reporting to board, it is a different scenario where the convincing power is more. Those CIOs or IT leaders who are not reporting directly to the board or the CEO, that is a challenge. There is a risk, taking consensus, influencing. So what should be your advice in terms of risk and reward? The CIO takes the risk of convincing, changing, adopting new technologies. If things drift away, then what?
Yeah, so I think the point here is depending on the organization, large, medium, and small, depending on the organization, which is probably a owner-driven, family-driven organization. Most of ours is some of the organizations which are like large banking and manufacturing companies, which are international agencies, which have a complete proper structure in place. So I think more or less the story is the same. But the point here is that smaller companies would have an idea reporting to the CFO. Medium companies would look at clearly a benchmark of CIO, CTO reporting to the MD. So there are peers working, whether at whatever level they are. One of the points is your quick wins of a solution in terms of knowing that you know what you are going to walk the path. And it's not like a situation where somebody comes in and says that this needs to be done and there is open acceptability. That will never happen. I think first you need to set your position in the company to say that, yes, this is needed, this is required, this has to be done. This will take the organization to the next level. So the story has to be crafted. Now, the story part is very important. It involves the project, it involves the finance involved in the project, it involves the project management to implement that particular project. It also talks about the successes and gallows once it's already done. So the 32 minutes to 3 minute story was not an easy path. Yeah, but we had champions who believed in that. They faced a problem. This is not an approval problem. They faced a problem in the path of how to do it, what to do, when to roll it out. So there was this system that we have clearly transformed within the organization. It runs on the OpenStack platform, and we've done great amount of work there. And we released a module, and at the same time, we released this particular functionality, which is part of the working, which really has made the difference. So I think when to launch it is also very, very important. So creating some followers within your organization is going to be very, very important. Who believes in you? I think that person can be at any level within your organization. So I think creating a benchmark for yourself into saying that, yes, I trust this person, he will be able to deliver, has to come in. Because see, today, whatever the organization, money doesn't come in easily for any of the IT projects. You know that. It happens after a lot of convincing. It happens and says that this is how it has to be done, what is needs to be done. So I also continuously face this problem. Everybody faces this problem. And this is nothing new. But depending on the circumstances you are, whether you are a head IT, CDO, CIO, or CTO within the organization, you need to set a path which will be suited best for the organization, for you, and the working of the organization. That has to be clearly ascertained. That's why I told you the first benchmark of studying the organization culture. Whether you are doing a digital project is something different. That is very important for a CIO, CDO, or any CXO that is hired. And that still remains, that will never go.
Excellent. So let us spend last 5 to 7 minutes around the new technologies. One of them already you have implemented, created use case, that's AI. So, in every forum now, in even politicians, prime ministers, heads of the states, everyone is talking about artificial intelligence. And you already have seen the effectiveness of artificial intelligence. What is your optimism? Where else do you want to create use case?
Yeah, so artificial intelligence is something like the most talked about situation, and it is the most sold situation right now, right? The most talked is most sold, and complement to that is generative AI. And so when I talk about artificial intelligence, it's a one word for a lot of things. It's an amalgamation of your OCR reads, it's data science, it is robotics, it is virtual visualization, although name it, and all stand into the artificial intelligence journey. And especially when I talk about artificial intelligence, I have a clear roadmap as to what I need to do and how I need to do. And that's prerogative in my working scenario as a CIO, CDO working for my organization. Having said that, I've seen a lot of situations where I would look at outsourcing AI enablement to a third party, but most of it would be internally.
Okay.
So internally built, and when I adopted technologies of OpenStack platforms, I've seen that artificial intelligence can be playing a big role in that transformation, which I've already started in that journey. But there are certain data intelligence standards which is going to be very useful for us. See, each of our organizations sits on tons of data, and what are you going to do about that data? So there are clear areas of finance and accounting, auditing, planning, sales support functions, which has a clear benchmark in terms of artificial intelligence and data engineering, which is going to work on it. The other part is you need to also identify whether it really stands as artificial intelligence. And that's very, very important to distinguish between artificial intelligence and normal data checking and giving you results or notifications. So those are some of the things that you need to understand and keep in mind. And especially
Can you call that intelligent automation instead of artificial intelligence? The
you
way
would call you would call as a business intelligence
okay,
on data,
okay, no problem.
which you today's word you called as data science. You're sitting on terabytes of data. What could that give you? And then when churning your data year on year, day by day, what intelligence can it be giving you in future warning, future calculations, or future simulations, which are going to be very important. And that's what we have done. So there are 3 to 4 clear buckets that we understand today in the logistics industry is going to be really game changers in terms of artificial intelligence. And that's what we have taken up. Our journey has already started. We've done a lot of use cases within organizations, and we've seen that there are going to be benchmarking changes within the logistics fragmented situations and collaborations which are going to be game changers in future. So mobile-based working, apps-based working, improving productivity, which are some of the benchmarks that we have done ourselves, which have clearly seen that there is a substantial amount of changing the way how we can perform for our customers. And I think that doesn't rest there. And generative AI is another story which is coming up. But generative AI is more of an individual based working at the moment, and there's no clear use case and working scenario for a corporate implementation. And that's what, when it comes in, we can look at it at later stage. But that is what our AI journey is going to be in the next 2 to 3 years. And we are very well equipped to see how we can handle it and how we can look at transforming our organization not only within but how we can serve the customers and the community as a logistics segment.
Okay, last one, very quickly you can answer me. Obviously, AI is changing the entire landscape, the way you perceive, you consume the data, you acquire the data, you churn the data, and bring out meaningful perspectives from the data. Does it have, many people complain about, not exactly complain, many people say about it, they raise flags around it. Does it have impact on the HR, human resources?
See, artificial intelligence for us has a clear benchmark of improving productivity and operational capability. My view in looking at human resources as a picture is that can humans take on jobs which are much more productive than doing uniform working of operations, rather than making them doing more intelligent jobs and retraining them to handle more responsibilities. So the cycle has certain trends where you can do more uh, by using AI, by reducing certain human resources which are involved to it. But then can we look at a story where the same human resources can be doing certain other functions and taking care of that? So as an organizations, we feel that when we improve the productivity by AI, uh, uh, we are clearly benchmarking that the number of jobs that you do has become productive. So can they handle more jobs? Number one. Can they do cross-functioning functional working in departments, which probably was a problem earlier? Can their responsibilities change into dual functioning? So there are means and ways to look at how you want to implement it. So we are not privileged to have a very large workforce within our organization. So we are still very clear as to what and manpower requirements are according to our business. But this story will be very, very important as per the industry segment. And nowhere we should look at uh, the harmful effects of reducing the manpower. I feel that we should complement by giving them more functions which are more human intelligence based.
So, in other words, it is about taking people from the routine work to specialized work, or those works which are more, more to do with your intelligence, and the routine work should be left with the artificial intelligence to take it forward. All right, then. Thank you very much, Mr. Meheriar Patel, Group CIO, Jeena and Company, for taking time out and speaking to CIOTV.live.
Thank you so much, Sanjay.